along the creek here on Mill Street, and we talked to one woman also who was here just to check on someone's vehicle.
No, I've seen it just about this bad. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But I don't, like I said, I don't really experience that, just like 2 minutes away. Mm-hmm. So it's lower here, but by this afternoon, I don't know if you guys will be filming all day, but this afternoon it'll be down.
We also talked to a gentleman who says he's lived here his entire life, and really the number for them that they gauge really is when emergency officials say anything above 40 is when they start to pick up all their valuables and take it upstairs. But we talked to several of the neighbors around here, these people over here at the apartment complex. Hi guys, this gentleman here was telling me, you know, one of those gates up there, there's a latch because boats can actually come in through here. So you know that this area does severely flood. So this isn't as bad as they have seen it in years past. But this entire parking lot, it looks like everyone here was prepared, taking all their vehicles out. But when we arrived here in the morning, lots of people still in this area and still kind of just riding it out.
Well, in the city of Forestville, an entire house was destroyed after a mudslide caused a home to drop into the rushing waters of the Russian River. This happened at around 12:30 yesterday afternoon. This video you see here shows a large portion of the house making its way down the river. Now, this is drone video of where the home once stood along West Side Road. Rescue teams were deployed to patrol the water, but later word came that no one was home at the time.
I thought it was like just brush or a tree sliding down a hill. And I didn't know it was a whole house. And then the transformer popped and that sounded like a gun going off.
Well, crews also cleared trees out of power lines in the neighborhood. The county will still have to decide what to do about the slide area. In Santa Rosa, severe flooding forced people at the Sutter North Bay Health Plaza to evacuate patients. Look at this. A total of 5 people, some in wheelchairs, had to be moved out. Firefighters brought in a paratransit van to help get them to safety. Workers at the health center say flooding has been a repeat issue, so they've had to get creative at times to deal with the rising water.
These are our linen bags for soiled linens. I have 2 of them on my feet, and I also took a tourniquet, which we use to start IVs, and it's like a rubber band, tied it around, and then I finish it off with Coban. Yeah, and it seems to be holding up.
In Marin County, people in the Point Reyes neighborhood had to wade through up to 3 feet of water just to walk out of their home. This is along Sir Francis Drake Boulevard. And in San Francisco, a fallen tree jammed traffic in Golden Gate Park. This is Citizen app video showing the tree blocking 3 lanes of traffic. This is on Crossover Drive. Luckily, nobody was injured. And another toppled tree in San Francisco crushing this outdoor dining area. That parklet is on Union Street between Laguna and Buchanan. No injuries reported, but crews spent a lot of time clearing all that debris. Well, now to the Sierra, where the same storm that hit the Bay Area brought plenty of snow to the mountains. This is a look at I-80 near Donner Summit. A winter storm warning just expired, but chains are still required between Kingvale and Truckee. Now, those looking to hit the slopes are celebrating the fresh snow.
I'm a snowboard instructor at Sugar Bowl, so we all got very, very wet. We're super stoked for all the snow. I'm like so giddy and so excited.
Well, more fresh snow is expected in the coming days, and we are tracking the storm damage left all across the Bay Area. You can always get the very latest weather coverage streaming on the free CBS News app. The U.S. Postal Service is reversing its decision to halt parcel service from China and Hong Kong. It comes after some confusion following an executive order by President Trump that ended duty-free handling of many smaller parcels. Now, up until now, packages worth up to $800 were exempt from listing detailed content information and tariffs. President Trump's new proposal regarding the future of Gaza is being met with pushback. He suggested the U.S. take ownership of the territory. Natalie Brown reports it would involve relocating roughly 2 million Palestinians who live there.
Amid the devastation in Gaza, Palestinians dismissed President Trump's plan to take over the war-torn territory. This man says we are staying to our last breath. President Trump's comments came during a joint news conference with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, saying Gaza could be a Riviera of the Middle East.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it. and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area.
President Trump has suggested Egypt and Jordan take in the roughly 2 million Palestinians who would be displaced, a proposal both nations rejected. And there's new opposition to the president's latest proposal.
It's not seen as serious.
Brian Koutulis of the Middle East Institute recently returned from the region.
It's not an actual plan to actually resolve these issues. And if anything, it'll make America less relevant in the reshaping of the region that's already going on.
President Trump's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, said other realistic solutions haven't been offered.
He puts some very bold, fresh, new ideas out on the table. I don't think should be criticized in any way. I think it's going to bring the entire region to come with their own solutions if they don't like Mr. Trump's solutions.
The comments come at a delicate time while negotiations are underway to implement the second phase of the hostage release ceasefire deal with Hamas.
Still ahead on CBS News Bay Area, how small cuts to Muni service in San Francisco could have big impacts for the riders who need it most.
We moved here to have a sense of freedom, and transit to me is just that.
Plus, California's largest insurer is asking for another rate hike.
The problem is that the industry in California has pretty much been upside down for about a decade.
Why they say it's necessary, we'll look at how much it could cost you. And students in Pacifica are stepping up to help those affected by the devastating wildfires in Southern California. How a simple class project became a full-scale fundraiser.
brief break in the activity today, so anyone that needs to pick up the pieces from the flooding and the winds yesterday, today is definitely your day to do so, because by tomorrow we're looking at another wave of atmospheric river moisture that's going to arrive and bring widespread showers across the area. Some gusty winds, but not nearly as strong on Thursday compared to what we saw yesterday. And luckily for us, just in time for the weekend, we are going to be seeing a lot quieter and a lot calmer conditions. Enjoy the sunny skies.
Well, soon it could be a little harder getting around San Francisco. SFMTA's board discussed plans to save $15 million by cutting some of Muni's bus service. The agency is facing a $50 million deficit for the next fiscal year, which starts this July. And next year, after some state and federal grants dry up, that deficit balloons to $320 million. Even small service cuts could have major ripple effects for people who depend on Muni the most. Our Lauren Toms tagged along with one rider who says she has dreaded the changes.
For Lisa Platt, public transit isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's quality of life. It's the rhythm of the city she left Detroit for more than a decade ago.
We moved here to have a sense of freedom, and transit to me is just that.
But now that freedom is on the chopping block. SFMTA is considering deep service cuts as it faces a $50 million budget deficit. Reductions, Lisa says, could cost more than the dollars they may save.
Coming home from an event, I need the train to connect to the 49 because the 45 stopped running at 10 p.m. 45 normally takes me almost right to my door, but if it stops, I can't enjoy something at the ballpark or something at Chase. And so for me, this is my lifeline to the quality of existence that I came here.
In a meeting Tuesday, Muni officials laid out 3 possible scenarios, each cutting service about 4% citywide this summer. The goal to shave $15 million off the deficit. One plan would suspend low ridership routes. Another would maintain all connections, but reduce frequency on rapid corridors. The last would prioritize equity routes, shifting resources to areas with the greatest need.
Each one of these is trying to look at, cuts from a different angle to try to get people to talk through their values, to give us feedback, not on yes or no cuts, but if we have to make cuts, we really want you to prioritize this type of value as we're moving forward.
But board director Steve Harminger pushed for alternative solutions that may not impact Muni's availability.
Colleagues, I think we need some more options here. And even though Sean presents these 3 scenarios as choices, the choices are cut transit service, and cut transit service.
Lisa has seen this before. Pandemic-era cuts left riders with earlier stoppage times, longer waits, and crowded buses. Now, she fears history is repeating itself, as fewer buses could mean fewer riders, and with that, less revenue, an outcome she says could impact the city's recovery.
I think we have to look at transit as an absolute economic imperative and look at ways to start shifting some of those funds and shifting the money towards things that may seem to cost us money, but we know bring so much more back to the system.
Holding on to hope that cuts won't bring the city and her mobility to a halt.
Well, SFMTA staff says the agency will engage in community outreach leading up to a final decision on March 18th. Well, in Southern California, part of the Pacific Coast Highway is shut down once again after reopening Monday following the Palisades fire. There is concern that today's storm down south could trigger mudslides. Truckloads of sandbags have been delivered to the burn zones. The county has also been clearing drains to try to prevent any flooding. Crews have been shoring up the 12-mile stretch, bringing in truckloads of sandbags. They also spent time clearing drainage facilities and debris basins. Some businesses that were finally able to reopen are also being forced to shut down once again.
Get in my car and drive home.
And you're going to be closed?
Closed probably at least until Friday, maybe Saturday. It's sad, but I understand why they have to do it. You certainly have to err on the side of caution in a situation like that.
Well, the Palisades fire started burning nearly a month ago, and now CAL FIRE says it is fully contained. The other major fire in the region, the Eaton fire, is also 100% contained. Now, with thousands of homes and buildings destroyed and over $1 billion paid out, California's largest insurer is requesting a massive rate hike. John Ramos explains the latest blow for homeowners.
It's been less than a month since wildfire decimated entire neighborhoods in Pacific Palisades and other communities in Los Angeles, and now the losses are being tabulated. State Farm General, California's largest insurer, says they have received more than 8,700 claims and already paid out more than $1 billion from its nearly depleted cash reserves. In a letter to California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara, the company said, quote, although reinsurance will assist us in paying what we owe to customers, the cost of these fires will further deplete capital from SFG. We are requesting that you take emergency action to help protect California's fragile insurance market by immediately approving interim rate increases on these filings, with rates to be effective May 1st, 2025. Carl Sussman, a broker and industry expert, explains the situation.
The problem is that the industry in California has pretty much been upside down for about a decade, and it's been slowly getting eroded because the prices have not been matching the exposure that we've had.
So now State Farm is requesting an average rate hike of 22% for homeowners, 15% for renters and condo owners, and 38% for those owning rental properties, no matter where they are located. The company says it needs the money to refill its capital reserve and says its credit rating has taken such a hit that State Farm insurance may no longer be accepted by some mortgage companies.
And this rate increase is really just the beginning of that. And I wouldn't say that it's so much that you're backfilling premium to be able to have the ability to pay claims, but it's really bringing the rate to where it really should have been all along, considering the exposures that we have here. And now we're going to start seeing all of the carriers starting to do that. So we're not in a situation when the next wildfire comes where companies are running out of money and having to look to see how they're going to pay their claims.
But Harvey Rosenfield, who wrote Prop 103, the Insurance Consumer Protection Initiative, says he doesn't buy the hysteria. He says State Farm already had a request into the state for a 30% increase in June, well before the LA fires.
Now that the wildfires have happened, State Farm is trying to take advantage of this tragedy to say they need an immediate emergency rate increase of 22%, which could be like $750 million. We really don't know because they haven't justified that.
Rosenfield says State Farm General, the company that insures properties in California, is claiming to be broke while its parent company, State Farm Mutual, is worth hundreds of billions of dollars.
But State Farm wants to leverage with the threat that it's the biggest company in the state and its financial condition is terrible, wants to leverage a bailout. This is the forcing the public to capitalize, to fund a private corporation that has access to resources of its parent company, and it's the parent company that should be bailing out State Farm, not the public.
Who should bear the cost of the LA wildfires is one question, but there is no question that the risk of fire in California has grown in general. And it seems clear that insurers won't resume writing policies in the state until they are sure they won't be losing money by doing so.
Well, if the insurance commissioner approves the rate increases, they would go into effect when policies are renewed or May 1st of this year. The approval from the commissioner could happen in the next few days. Well, still ahead, local students stepping up to help those who need it the most after the devastating wildfires in LA. We had 2 Pacifica in the classroom where they are taking action.
plenty of sunshine. A few more clouds arriving later tonight, and then the thicker cloud coverage into tomorrow before the more widespread activity pushes in by the later morning hours tomorrow and continues on and off throughout tomorrow afternoon. It's not going to be nearly as heavy as what we saw yesterday. We could still see some wind gusts upwards of 35 to 45 miles an hour, but again, it's not going to be packing nearly as big of a punch. One more last push of moisture by early Friday morning before clearing out into Friday afternoon. So overall, we're going to be seeing a lot of rain and, like I said, also a lot of snow, an additional 1 to 1.5 feet likely across the Sierra all the way through Friday. Again, one more push of moisture tomorrow. Drier weather by Friday afternoon and evening, and into this weekend it will be a lot quieter, a lot calmer. So any activities this weekend, you should be good to go. It's going to be a lot different than last weekend, but don't you worry, by mid to late next week there is the potential for even more moisture. So a couple of days of dry time to get through. Enjoy the weekend of weather ahead of us. Back to you.
Well, in the aftermath of the Los Angeles wildfires, there has been an outpouring of support, communities coming together and stepping up to help those devastated by the fires. That includes a group of Pacifica middle schoolers who are raising funds to help other students.
So I want you to know that the power of your voices and you guys all working and putting little seeds out into the universe, it's all coming back in the form of really sweet donations from Girl Scouts that I don't even know.
Students at Ingrid B. Lacey Middle School in Pacifica are coming together to help.
Our GoFundMe code right here so that people can see the code.
This after watching the Los Angeles wildfires destroy so many lives, they decided to take action.
Our class is fundraising money for the LA fires. We thought that it'd be a really good project because we all want to help out people in need.
And with encouragement from their teacher, Catherine Sosnowski, what started as a simple class project became a full-scale fundraiser.
As a community, we're really trying to teach our students at IBL to care about others, no matter who those others are. And this has been just another example of kids coming together to help each other.
For many of them, the effort hits close to home.
Yeah, my brother's a firefighter and he was called down from his station.
Sophia's brother, a South San Francisco firefighter, deployed to fight the fires in LA.
And he had the option whether or not to go to the fires, and he chose to go. And it's really heartfelt because I was scared personally, but I knew he was saving people.
Several kids in the class had personal ties, and even if they didn't, they had the need to give back.
It's to the Greater Los Angeles Education Foundation specifically, so that we can help students who lost all of their education stuff.
And it's important for us to help kids our age because we know if we were in that situation, it would be really scary.
Something Catherine appreciates in her students.
The kids show us that it's so easy to come together when given the right tools and the right environment. We can learn from them. It really is not rocket science to work together and create more than you could individually.
And they didn't stop with just people.
So we have two, right? We're helping humans and animals.
The students are also holding a dog adoption event in Pacifica to make room in shelters for animals rescued from the fire zone.
We are helping Rocket Dog Rescue get dogs adopted, which for these kiddos really means that they get to hold puppies for hours on end.
Showing us all how we can come together and make a difference no matter how old we are.
Well, in just over a week, the kids have raised nearly $5,000. And if you want to help, just head to kpix.com. Their pet adoption event is happening this Sunday from 11 to 2 p.m. in Pacifica. Well, coming up in our next half hour on CBS News Bay Area, we're continuing to track the damage from the atmospheric river and the next round of rain that's on the way. Plus, they were on the brink of extinction, but now they're back. We're taking a look at mating season for the Bay's elephant seal population.
Okay.
Oh, he's checking on his ladies.
I just can't imagine even trying to move like that.
I'm Gianna Franco, and this is The Minute. Evacuation orders remain in effect for low-lying areas by the Russian River between Healdsburg and Jenner. The river was expected to crest at 7 this morning at about 35 feet. Yesterday, a home slid into the Russian River due to a mudslide in Forestville. Governor Newsom heads to the nation's capital today to meet with President Trump. They're set to discuss recovery efforts from the Southern California wildfires and water management across the state. This comes after the president ordered the release of water from a pair of dams in the Central Valley. And one of San Francisco's largest employers is reportedly slashing jobs. According to Bloomberg, Salesforce is cutting more than 1,000 positions. The company says those who lose their jobs will be eligible to apply for other internal roles at the company. The Bay Area's only primetime newscast at 8 and 9 p.m. on Pix Plus 44, Cable 12.
You're streaming CBS News Bay Area.
We're looking at a lot quieter, a lot calmer conditions on the way today, so hopefully you can pick up the pieces from that very wild weather day yesterday. Not to say an isolated shower can't be ruled out across our far North Bay communities. It is going to be definitely a pick up the pieces day before our next storm arrives into tomorrow. There's 2 storm systems that are swirling off the coast. Both of those are going to combine, and as they do so, they'll be bringing us a lot more widespread activity all along the California coast and farther inland, where they'll be seeing some snow. So definitely grab an umbrella tomorrow. It is going to be a rainy afternoon and evening, and maybe even sticking around into very early Friday morning. But by Friday evening, we'll be seeing quieting conditions, and much calmer, much quieter conditions will persist into this weekend. So again, that is really great news for anybody that wants to get out this weekend. You should be good to go. It is over the next several days, or hours, I should say, that we are going to be seeing the quietest conditions. But tomorrow, that's when the activity will arrive. Widespread cloud coverage and then widespread rainfall once again. So something to keep your eye on. It's not going to be raining all day tomorrow, but you are going to be seeing on again, off again showers persisting throughout the day on Thursday. All things that we are going to be considering, and then quieting down, clearing out by as soon as you step out late Friday. So again, it really depends on where you're located, but over the next 7 days, we are going to continue to see these nice and quiet conditions persisting at least just in time for the weekend. One more push of rain that will arrive on Thursday. By Friday and into Saturday, things will be quieting down. Not to say an isolated shower early Friday morning can't be ruled out, but by Saturday, Sunday, and into the weekend of weather ahead of us, it is going to be a lot quieter and calmer. I hope you all can enjoy this weekend, but grab an umbrella tomorrow.
Well, this morning we are seeing the impacts of the atmospheric river. In Marin County, a mudslide slammed into an apartment building in Fairfax. Neighbors tell us it happened fast, and they worry people won't be able to live at this site for a while. Nobody was hurt, but we're told the cleanup could take weeks. And a little further north in Sonoma County, several schools are closed in the Guerneville and Monterrey districts. This is due to ongoing evacuation orders for low-lying areas around the Russian River. Now, these orders are in effect between unincorporated Healdsburg and Jenner. In Forestville, an entire house slid into the rushing waters. This video here shows a large portion of the house making its way down the Russian River. The good news, no one was home at the time. This is drone video of where the home once stood. Our Wilson Walker spoke with neighbors.
As we all know, Russian River is a beautiful place, especially during the summer, but when we get this heavy rain, it's very unpredictable.
A highway patrol officer responded to a report of a hillside giving way, and that officer watched as the land and trees below West Side Road went sliding down towards the Russian River, and one home went right along with it.
What's going on?
Within minutes, rescue teams from across Sonoma County had descended on this narrow street and eventually down to the debris below. And for a time, there were rescue teams patrolling the water, but eventually word came that the home was empty.
No, we checked with the property owner and there was nobody inside the house.
I thought it was like just brush or a tree sliding down a hill. I didn't know it was a whole house. And then the transformer popped and that sounded like a gun going off.
One neighbor just a couple doors away said he did not realize exactly what had happened until someone told him to go look at the hillside from the bridge.
They said there was a mudslide. I didn't know it was a house in the river.
Oh, look, it's hitting the tree.
Oh my gosh.
Others watched in disbelief as a large portion of the home made its way down the river, and the county is just now beginning to assess what comes next at the site of the slide.
Right now, it's kind of one of those. We're still trying to determine. We're trying to get all our resources up here. We did evacuate the people up on this hillside because obviously there's a landslide, and we're just predicting another landslide to occur, and we want to get people out of harm's way.
Well, the storm also causing some problems in the Santa Cruz Mountains. On Skyline Boulevard at Bear Creek Road, wind conditions were strongest on the ridgetops. Although many who live in the area have been through this before, storms as powerful, though, still make them worry.
Sometimes mudslides affect people, and sometimes, yeah, obviously, like falling limbs are really dangerous, and fallen trees. But, you know, we're used to it in some ways. The power goes out really frequently when we have storms like this.
Well, after days of rain, many people are concerned about falling trees. One East Bay tree trimming company says wind and rain usually bring an uptick in emergency calls. Well, luckily, things stayed pretty quiet yesterday. The owner of a tree service company told us part of that is because trees are more dormant this time of year, and right now they're healthier.
A lot of the trees that were stressed or compromised have come down over the last couple of years, and the ones that are left are in better shape.
Well, the owner of the company says areas like the North Bay are more likely to see fallen trees since they haven't gotten more rain. And again, we are tracking the storm damage all across the Bay Area. You can always get the very latest streaming on the free CBS News app. Well, a comeback for the elephant seal population along the California coast. Marine biologists say this winter has been less destructive to their population. Max Darrow reports from Point Reyes.
Of all of the picture-perfect beaches along the Northern California coast, there is one in particular at Point Reyes that has recently become prime real estate for a primal phenomenon. Elephant seals have once again established a colony at Drake's Beach to give birth and to mate. It's one of those neat things about nature that people naturally are curious to see.
Okay.
Always checking on his ladies.
I just can't imagine even trying to move like that.
Like Pat and Sia Donahue from Marin.
I would like that calling for you for a date.
Yeah. I might have to think twice.
And to marine ecologist Sarah Cotty.
So we still are expecting more females to show up.
It's more than neat.
And a lot more pups to be born.
She is witnessing and documenting a conservation success story.
So far, the numbers at this time of the year are higher than they were in previous years. The last 2 years, we had some really big storms during the winter season, and we ended up having a lot of pup mortality from that. Today, we had 27 adult females and 18 pups. So that means we still have a lot of pregnant females out here.
At one point, the elephant seal population was on the verge of extinction. But there's been a major turnaround. In fact, the population is flourishing, and scientists say they're now seeing some of the highest numbers of elephant seals they've ever seen. Cotty attributes that to conservation measures put into place back in the early 1900s.
A really small group was found in Mexico on Guadalupe Island, and they were protected. So the Mexican government protected the island and banned the hunting of elephant seals.
The Point Reyes elephant seal colony formed around 1980 to 1981. It's estimated the population has grown to around 4,000.
That pup looks pretty tiny, so that means it's a newborn.
Since Point Reyes beaches are a part of the National Park Service,
so we really are able to provide a safe haven for these elephant seals.
Coming to see the seals has become a special tradition for the Donahues.
I love it.
Well, their life cycle is amazing.
And with all that's going on in our crazy world, this is something to renew your soul.
The beauty of life beginning on the beaches of Northern California.
Well, up next, Tesla makes a move towards self-driving cars. We'll ask what makes them different than other robo-taxis on the roadways.
We're looking at a brief break in the activity today, so anyone that needs to pick up the pieces from the flooding and the winds yesterday, today is definitely your day to do so, because by tomorrow we're looking at another wave of atmospheric river moisture that's going to arrive and bring widespread showers across the area. Some gusty winds, but not nearly as strong on Thursday compared to what we saw yesterday. And luckily for us, just in time for the weekend, we are going to be seeing a lot quieter and a lot calmer conditions. Enjoy the sunny skies.
Well, Elon Musk says Tesla is on pace to launch its self-driving service as early as June. Today on our morning edition, I asked a reporter with CNET about the test market for the autonomous taxi.
What I'll start off by saying is that Elon Musk is always very ambitious about his self-driving plans. So everything I say, take it with a grain of salt. But what he said is that Tesla is gearing up to launch its paid self-driving service in Austin as soon as June of this year. So this would be starting with Tesla Model Ys and Model 3s. Eventually, what he'd like to do is to incorporate the Cybercab that he showed us back in October. So we'd start there, and then he said that they already have fully self-driving in Fremont, and these cars would use AI and cameras to really navigate. So we'll see if it happens, but that's the plan.
All right, and we're expected to see this sometime in June in test markets, so definitely interesting. Well, word came out this week that Cruise, the San Francisco startup, has officially been absorbed by General Motors, so no more robo-taxis. It also means some layoffs. Let's talk about this.
It does. So, you might remember seeing both Waymo cars and Cruise vehicles roaming the streets. Cruise vehicles will not be coming back to the streets of San Francisco. Instead, Cruise is going to use that technology and develop more advanced driver assist programs, as well as personally owned self-driving vehicles. So that means a lot of layoffs. What the CEO of GM has said is that this would save $1 billion annually. It's very expensive to run a self-driving service. And we know Cruise ran into some regulatory issues as well, and they just never were able to recover from that.
Yeah, hard to hear, though, when people are losing their jobs, so that's always tough. Well, the Super Bowl is this weekend. Do you have a team you're rooting for?
No, but I know that we'll just be talking about Taylor Swift the whole time. That's really all I know.
The Chiefs are back. That is true. I'm here for it, Taylor. All right. A lot of people planning their watch parties abroad, and it looks like Apple just released something to make it easier. I'm leaning in on this.
Yeah, I think this is interesting. Anytime Apple charters into new territory, it's always fascinating. This is something called Apple Invites. And what you could do is if you have a paid iCloud subscription, then you can create invites. You can invite up to 100 people. You can generate images using Apple Intelligence and also have shared Apple Music playlists and things like that. Other ways that Apple products can factor into this and have a shared album. Really, it's Apple's way to tap into all of its platforms into one invite, app. And I'm really curious how people will use this and if they'll use it for the Super Bowl. It really is great timing. You're right.
As we celebrate Black History Month, we spotlight an inspiring high school senior from St. Mary's College High School in Berkeley. A published author and activist, Serena Griffin is making waves by empowering young girls of color. She founded a program at Oxford Elementary using poetry and storytelling to build confidence. Recently honored at the White House as a community leader, Serena credits Cinnamon Girl, her second family, for supporting her growth. Now she's giving back by helping girls express their voices and embrace their identities.
I kind of just see myself in them. I think there's something specifically about working with young girls of color who I know myself growing up, I didn't always have all of these outlets or these tools to express my voice in the most effective or powerful way that it can be used.
Well, since 2003, Cinnamon Girl has served more than 3,000 girls, offering mentorship and leadership development. See Serena's full story tonight at 5 on our evening edition. And we invite you to join us as we honor the achievements, contributions, and rich legacy of the Bay Area's Black community. Watch our special presentation on Thursday, February 20th. It starts at 7:30 p.m. right here on CBS News Bay Area. Well, coming up, San Francisco's counterculture history captured in thousands of never-before-seen photos. The local photographer trying to uncover their origins and how he plans to share them with the world.
The potential of using this space as an exhibit space is just thrilling.
plenty of sunshine. A few more clouds arriving later tonight, and then the thicker cloud coverage into tomorrow before the more widespread activity pushes in by the later morning hours tomorrow and continues on and off throughout tomorrow afternoon. It's not going to be nearly as heavy as what we saw yesterday. We could still see some wind gusts upwards of 35 to 45 miles an hour, but again, it's not going to be packing nearly as big of a punch. One more last push of moisture by early Friday morning before clearing out into Friday afternoon. So overall, we're going to be seeing a lot of rain and, like I said, also a lot of snow, an additional foot to foot and a half likely across the Sierra all the way through Friday. Again, one more push of moisture tomorrow. Drier weather by Friday afternoon and evening, and into this weekend it will be a lot quieter, a lot calmer. So any activities this weekend, you should be good to go. It's going to be a lot different than last weekend, but don't you worry, by mid to late next week there is the potential for even more moisture. So a couple of days of dry time to get through. Enjoy the weekend of weather ahead of us. Back to you.
A local photographer is on the hunt to figure out who took thousands of photographs that were recently uncovered. Now, the photos are a portal back in time to what life looked like in San Francisco in the 1960s. Our Amanda Harry explains why he's so intrigued and how he plans to share the photos with the world.
The potential of using this space as an exhibit space is just thrilling.
Bill Delzell is working to solve a mystery. He wants to identify and celebrate the photographer who captured important pieces of Bay Area history. Their stunning photos transport you back in time. Protests outside San Francisco City Hall, Black Panther rallies, Phil Lesh and the Grateful Dead in the middle of a set.
There's an intimacy to that work that really comes through.
He has big plans for the photos, possibly involving this prime property on Market Street. Delzell is a photographer himself. A family friend connected him with the owner of the photos who wants to remain anonymous. The photos were discovered as slides and undeveloped rolls of film kept in a storage facility.
This work is really unique. It captured everything from the 1960s to 1970, the counterculture movement, the music movement, civil rights movement, Summer of Love, on and on and on. And so it really represents the history of San Francisco.
He's in talks to display the photos here at the Flood building at the corner of Market and Powell.
So there's something really nice about a raw space. It suggests a transitional time.
Delzell feels San Francisco is still in a transitional time, adjusting to the world post-COVID, and the photos were taken during a different transition, the 1960s. The Flood family heard about Delzell's mission and are considering partnering with him so more people can view the historical photos in a space that is a major part of SF history itself. The Flood building was built back in 1904 by James Leary Flood, a wealthy businessman. It was one of the only major buildings that survived the 1906 earthquake.
If you get a look over here, you'll see you have a panoramic view of Market Street.
Now, one of his descendants, Karen Flood, is working to keep the building relevant in the present with a nod to the past.
And I feel like culture and art and entertainment, food is all a part of our next chapter.
The space used to be a Gap clothing store.
I texted my daughter that I was coming to this building, and she said, I spent most of my youth shopping here.
All of this was made possible by an all-or-nothing Kickstarter campaign titled Who Shot Me? It raised half of its nearly $50,000 goal in the final day. It promises to process the 75 remaining rolls of film with likely thousands of photos on them, preserve the work for public access with the Internet Archive, and continue to look for the missing photographer. That part is gaining traction on social media.
Literally thousands of clues have come in, from Agnes Varda to Uncle Joe. I mean, it's just unbelievable how many people think that they might know who the photographer is.
For now, the answer is still unknown, but their work lives on.
Delzell also plans to document his research in a book and film. Well, thanks for streaming CBS News Bay Area. I'm Gianna Franco. We'll be right back with your first alert forecast and a look at your top stories.